Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here. Welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am glad to be here. I am glad that you're here. I am grateful to be here, and I am grateful that you're here. We started this journey together in the first week of 2014, and we've done it every week since. The purpose is to make our lives more meaningful. Easily said, more difficult to do. To reach that level of satisfaction that we know we're doing all that we can do to make this life meaningful. Well, I have to say that last week was very meaningful for me. And part of that reason, a big part of that reason was that Lori and I celebrated our anniversary, and we did so in the San Francisco Bay Area. First thing we did was we went to a Seattle Seahawks 49ers game, and Seattle won. So for Lori, who is a diehard and has been diehard Seattle fan since they came to Seattle, was just ecstatic. So the weekend started off great. And so that was Thursday night. Well, then Friday we actually walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. Or maybe it was Saturday, but sometime on the weekend we did. We did a lot of different things. But we walked across the Golden Gate Bridge and back, approximately 3.5 miles. What a beautiful and exciting walk, but it was even more meaningful because we were on one of the great bridges ever. What do you ask? When people ask you, what do you do? What do you say? What do you say? Do you give them your title? Do you give them, I love to say, one of my favorite things is to say, I build bridges. And it's built around what I consider to be my unique ability. What is it that gives me the greatest enjoyment? And what is it that is something that I continually get better at? I hope I get better at. And that's building bridges. In our Empowered Wealth Journal, there's a place there to write your unique ability statement. This isn't the qualities of unique ability. This is your statement. This is my unique ability and how I use it. And let me just read to you this. It said, I study, learn, and connect truths in ways that challenge conventional thinking, and then calmly provoke and mentor individuals, families, and organizations to build bridges, connecting them to their highest potential for meaningfulness and productivity. That inspires me. That I build bridges inspires me. And here I am on one of the great, magnificent bridges ever built. And as we're walking across that bridge, looking at the pillars, I couldn't help but think about a book that's coming out soon that's being written by David York and Andrew Howell, two attorneys who have a different approach and a different insight to estate planning. I've known them both for a long time. I've actually known David longer than Andrew, but I've known Andrew's grandfather, Max Lewis, who was one of the top world-renowned estate planners out of the western United States. And here is his grandson carrying on a tradition there. And then you've got David York, who started working with one of the more prestigious estate planning firms. And I've watched them come together to create a new identity and a new way of looking at estate planning. It's not just the drafting of the documents. It's not just putting down wills and trusts. And it's really coming to grips with what are the key elements of true wealth that this family enjoys and wants to preserve for generations. And if they do that, it's the high predictability that they will have a succession plan that includes happiness and well-being for families for generations to come. It's an amazing approach. We first approached it, and you first read about it in our book, The Brower Quadrant, that was written in 2009. And I even quoted I even have a story in there about David and some of his early experiences. And so it's wonderful to see a book come out through the eyes of attorneys who are in the trenches putting documents together on what really needs to happen. So when it comes out, you'll be the first to know. In any event, they make a parallel with bridges, and specifically the Golden Gate Bridge. So here I am standing on the Golden Gate Bridge thinking about these towers. So I'm just going to share with you 4 analogies, if you will, of the Golden Gate Bridge and planning for meaningfulness. So you look at, first of all, there's 2 towers. There couldn't hold a bridge with 1 tower. Let's assume that one of the towers is the parents or this generation, and the next tower is the next generation or the children. To build a bridge and to be able to suspend all of this weight that handles hundreds of thousands of cars and individuals a day, you have to have two strong pillars in order to make a transfer from one generation to the next. To support the weight of your true wealth, moving from one generation to the next, you need to have two strong pillars. We've talked in the past about comparing it to an exchange zone, of where those that are running around the track on a relay, they have an exchange zone, that are running relay races where they're passing the baton. And when the runner with the baton is passing it to the next person, both are running just as fast. They don't slow down. They take off and they're running, and that transition is passed with both of them running beyond the exchange zone. Well, think of the two bridges in the span as like the exchange zone. So you've got them. Now, in order to have those, then they've got to be on a firm foundation. You can't just have two towers floating in the water. They've got to be rooted deeply and soundly. And so if you look at those bridges, I went in and started studying how they secured those bridges, because Lori and I looked and said, man, how deep do they have to go? Well, they went down and they were able to find solid rock that they were being able to attach to using dynamite, cement, and all kinds. But they cemented those towers into a solid bedrock. Well, isn't that the same with families? If we can simultaneously build and strengthen the first generation so that the second generation also is being built on bedrock, we're creating a greater chance of being able to transfer that wealth from one generation to the next, true wealth. So what is that bedrock? Metaphorically speaking, that bedrock is three things. We look at the rocks of gratitude. We look at the rocks of true wealth, those things that value more than money, that we value more money, and the rock of leadership. True leadership that's based upon agreements, based upon experience and wisdom that comes not only from our lives, but from our ancestors' lives as well, that's existing down there that we can grab hold of and latch onto. And so that is the pillars then that are so strong. The next thing that we have to have is we have to have a strong connection. That cable that connects from one generation to the next, from one tower to the next, has to be incredibly strong. Well, it starts with one strand of wire. And as it strands with one wire, you're adding strands until where now the Golden Gate Bridge, each cable has over 17,000 strands or something like that. And so it's extremely strong. Well, how do you have those strands? You have touch points. And touch points of true wealth, touch points of experience, touch points of being able to be not dominant. You can't have one tower that dominates the other. You got to eventually build so that they're equally strong. And so one is based upon experiences, historical. The other is based upon teaching and learning, and both are learning and teaching at the same time. The final thing is that you have to have ongoing maintenance. That bridge would not be where it is today. It would have eroded and gone away, except they have a team that's constantly maintaining that bridge, checking the rivets, making sure the rivets are in place, checking all the joints, making sure the rust and the corrosion. In fact, they had a complete makeover because they thought it was strong enough to withstand all of any kind of an earthquake. But studies showed that, hey, there may be a problem there, and they went in and spent another $300 or $400 million and just completed a project to re-secure that in a way that they feel that it'll be completely safe from earthquakes. Well, isn't that a great metaphor that we relate to our families and the way that we look at things? And so I'm very grateful for that experience. As I looked at that bridge and felt inspired with Lori alongside of me, thinking about how we are building a tower and simultaneously intend and attempting to and trying to build a tower on the other end that is strong and able to withstand that and be able to receive the true wealth and to grow it. And it's a two-way street. As our children grow, they teach us. As we grow, we teach them. And that becomes extremely powerful. And so I'm very grateful for that experience. As a reminder, I told you that I would let you know when Dave York's TED Talk became available. The link is here right now on this page, the page that you came into. Go to that link, watch it. It's about 12, 13 minutes long, and share it. I think you'll find it extremely enlightening and informative. It's been wonderful to be with you today. I look forward to talking to you next week. Have a meaningful week. Bye-bye.